So, it is official. We're going to have our first undisputed champion since, I'm talking about in the era of the WBC, the IBF, the WBA, and the WBO. We're going to have our first undisputed champion on August the 19th, 2017. Terence Crawford, WBC and WBO and Ring Magazine 140-pound champion, is going to be taking on Julius Indongo of Namibia. He is the WBA Super World and the IBF champion. And remember, he had first won the IBF title from Eduard Troyanovsky. That was somewhat of an upset. Then he went on to fight Ricky Burns for that WBA, beat Ricky Burns, so he's a unified champion. The fight is going to be taking place in Omaha on ESPN, so it's looking like it is official that Top Rank is done with HBO. If you don't know the lore or the story behind it, Bob Bammer's been having some issues with HBO since Ken Hirschman, the last head of HBO Sports, left, and the new guy, Peter Nelson. I've met him before. It's a cool dude. You know, but when it comes to the business stuff, hey, you know. So now, Top Rank fighters are going to be fighting on ESPN. I'm going to talk about the Lomachenko fight, who's fighting on August the 5th on ESPN. We have Pacquiao versus Horn, July the 1st on ESPN. Now, many are thinking like, oh, he's, you know, they're fighting on ESPN, they must be going down. No, actually, this is what, from my understanding, they're doing something that PBC was supposed to do, or that they were trying to do, with bringing mainstream boxing to ESPN. There's a lot of money involved, and you know, people think it's going to be on some Friday Night Fights type shit, or that it's or that it's some low budget venture. But no, they're planning on bringing A-side matchups to ESPN. I'm talking about like really ESPN is behind Top Rank with this. So I have to do a whole new video on that. But now he's going to run the whole 140-pound division. So there's so many questions that are at hand. For example, if you don't know, IBF #1 contender, Sergey Lipinets, was trying, or his team, he's an Al Heyman fighter, was trying to stop this fight from going forward. But it's like, how could you stop a fight that's a unification fight, you know? Now, Indongo was at the Terence Crawford Felix Diaz fight. You know, we've been hearing for quite some time that this fight was going to happen, but they were trying to make sure that that IBF title was on the line, because what would be the point? Okay, yeah, that WBA would be on the line, but why hold up that IBF? Come on, you know, undisputed champion. It's good for boxing. So now it's all about who's going to win and what are they going to do when they win. If Terence Crawford wins, will he stay at 140, fight a couple of fights, or does he move to 147 and possibly finally get that Pacquiao fight as a passing of the torch type thing? Because at 140 pounds, you know, there's going to be big fights out there for him. For example, what if he stays at 140 and fights the winner of Broner versus Garcia? Now, word was several months ago that Broner versus Crawford was in like some type of talks. Like, okay, well, if Broner makes 140, beats Adrian Granados, then, you know, we can make that WBC eliminator for Terence Crawford. But Broner couldn't make that 140. So my understanding is that the reason why one of the deciding factors of Adrian Broner fighting Adrian Granados, because Adrian Granados was ranked very high by the WBC at that time. You know, because of his win over Amir Imam. Now, Amir Imam is the #1 contender for the WBC. So, one thing about when you are an undisputed champion or a unified champion, you get like a lot of, you know, you got mandatories just lined up. And if you don't fight your mandatories, then you got to pay some type of step-aside money. And the fighters don't always want step-aside money. So, you know, for Terence Crawford, if he does win, I'm not counting Julius Indongo out. You know, as we get closer to the fight, I'm going to do more videos and we're going to talk more in detail about it. But if Terence Crawford were to win, then he would have to go directly after a big money fight, because whoever his mandatory is, he would have to pay them off. And his mandatory would likely be next Sergey Lipinets, then Amir Imam, and then I got to figure out who the WBO and the WBA #1 contender is. You know, so it's like, you know, does he go after the big money? I think he should. But what does Julius Indongo do if he wins? He's going to be sitting on top of the world. And we're still finding out who Julius Indongo is. But however, he is a very good boxer that we've seen. He's got some skills. You know, but those skills can only be matched up against the level of competition. And as we've seen with Terence Crawford makes good fighters look amateur-ish. They be looking amateur as fuck. You know, so he can fight you southpaw, right hand, and he'll tell you, and he's getting more, you know, outspoken where he says, like, he does what he wants to do. You know? So that Terence Crawford shit is scary, man. So it's going to be on ESPN in Omaha. Of course, it's going to be lit. Omaha's always on fire. And then for the fact that that's smart. For him to be winning, to be the first undisputed champion of this era, if he wins. And for it to happen in his hometown, that's some smart-ass marketing right there. And it's going to be on ESPN on, like, you know, basically regular cable television. It's not free TV, but it's regular cable television. Anyway, I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. We're getting back into this, you know, getting back on the saddle. I don't like the way that sounds. We're getting back in the flow of things. Please subscribe. All the links to my social media are right down below in the description box. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live.